couple of weeks ago, we had a little incident at our house. Our air conditioning went out. And so after sweltering in the heat for a few days, we moved into the Loft Hotel downtown, which is a very pet-friendly town, a very pet-friendly hotel, and spent a few days there. Tallahassee has become asphalt parking lots and concrete roads and driveway and sidewalks. JJ is not crazy about that because she prefers the softer way that she learned out here in our yard. But it's really hard to find any grass there. We were out walking one morning and going across the asphalt parking lot towards a fence, and there's a little strip of green between the parking lot and the cement sidewalk on the other side of the fence. And in between was a little strip of weeds, is more like it. And in the midst of all that clutter and litter and weeds was this little pink flower that had dared to poke its head up over all that mess, say hello to the world. And I stood there for quite a while looking at that little flower. It was a beautiful little thing, and thinking about how God creates all this beauty and man seems to be bound and determined to destroy it. As a matter of fact, I was going to call this blog Man versus God, but I decided that man wasn't really doing that on purpose, just does it because they don't know any better. As I walked around, I got to thinking more and more about my life and about the spiritual journey I've been on and what I've learned, and it really came to me that I've known very few people that really treasured the beauty that God has created for us. You know, thank goodness, way back, starting with Teddy Roosevelt, we created a national park system, and we've kept a part of our country from being developed into asphalt and concrete. And Tallahassee has done the same thing. There's a beautiful parkway right in the middle of town, at Park Avenue, which is a little strip of green grass and nice trees and shade and fountains and a lovely place. So I'm grateful for our fathers and leaders who saw that we needed to keep some space, but the commercial interests don't seem to have much interest in keeping that space. I watch time after time where developers move in, cut everything down, bulldoze the land, and then build their houses and their buildings and stand back and look at them and say, what a beautiful building. Never realizing how much beauty that God created, they've destroyed. I had one good friend, an architect by the name of Dick Shutter, and Dick and his son, who's also an architect, before they would build a building, and they built a lot of them, they would go out and walk the land, and they would then sit down and design the building to fit the land. So after Dick got done building, you would swear that building had been there 20, 30 years because there were mature trees and bushes and shrubs and everything still there. He took out enough to put in the building. They protected the plant life. The developer had to be able to operate within those means, and they did. And it was just gorgeous. And I've always really, really respected and admired Dick for the work he did as an architect. But unfortunately, that isn't the case most of the time. Today, I'm sitting here lamenting the loss of so much of our natural habitat. You may remember that I'm a Green Faith Fellow and have long been. I became a Green Faith Fellow in 2012, and even though I'm really too old now to participate much, I still support them. And I encourage you to too. So just Google Green Faith, that's Green, capital Faith, and you'll see an organization that is still continuing to fight the good fight to get our churches and our church members to recognize that we have an obligation to protect God's world. The Pope recognizes that. He came out with a major encyclical, Laodicea, which a lot of people just don't pay any attention to. If he comes out with an encyclical on birth control or something, everybody looks at that, but nobody seems to pay much attention to this one. But because it interrupts their life too much. At any rate, I don't want to get up on my little pedestal here and start preaching, so I'll be quiet about that. But look up Green Faith. It's a good organization. And remember that God is the creator, and we are here to enjoy his creation, not to destroy it. And every time we just come on in with our bulldozers and start knocking stuff down, we're just not helping the environment. We're not helping God's creation. And I'm so grateful for that little pink flower that dared to raise its head amongst all that litter, and to remind me that God is still here. And another thing that helped me today was in one of my readings, I was reading about Jesus the Good Shepherd in the little booklet that I get every month called Word Among Us. Incidentally, you can prescribe to it electronically for $1.99 a month. It's WAU, Word Among Us. Or you can get it on Amazon. And it's a great little thing. And today, the writer was talking about us being the sheep, and how the Good Shepherd, Jesus, works with us. He says, you know, sheep are not known for their intelligence. They're very dependent on the shepherd. They don't even know where to go eat if the shepherd doesn't take them there. He talks about how important the shepherd is for the welfare of the sheep. And then he points out that we're like the sheep. He says, let me read a little bit to you. He says, we are smarter than sheep, of course, but not as smart as we sometimes think. We're inclined to believe that we are self-sufficient and can succeed on our own strength. We tend to look only of the things of this world to quench our thirst and satisfy our hunger, things that really don't satisfy us. Sometimes we pursue things that actually hurt us. And he goes on to talk about the fact that the truth is, we all need God's guidance and direction and protection, although we don't always recognize it. But unless we allow Jesus to lead us, he won't be the good shepherd for us. And I really like that because it talks to me about the fact that we really aren't doing this out of evil. We're not being bad people. We're just being people that are raised in a culture that does not really respect what God has created. And we need to change that culture. We need to change that environment. And I guess finally I would like to say that I'm not exempt from this. You know, I hired Esposito's, a landscaping firm here in town, to put down a bunch of visqueen on our yard so that the grass wouldn't grow, because with all the trees we've got, grass won't grow. And so rather than having just a motley looking yard, we put down the visqueen and then put pine straw down on. Now it looks very nice because it meets our needs. And I don't know if it's the right thing to do or not. I remember many years ago, I can't think of his name. He was a physician in South Africa who was world famous. And I remember he wouldn't even kill a bug because he said the bug was God's creation. And I think of him sometimes when I'm killing mosquitoes that, well, I don't know if I should be doing this or not. Maybe I'm carrying things to extreme. I don't know. All I know is that God does create this world. I don't think he creates anything by accident. He creates things that have a purpose and meaning in this world. And it's my job to respect that, to learn how to live with that, and to enjoy it. And I hope you enjoy your life too as you go through this bountiful world that God has created for us on our spiritual journey.